Well, welcome everybody. My name is Natalie Bavegni, and I'm really excited to have speaking today Brett. Brett, please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, Brett Bebeau, Managing Director of the Miami River Commission. Happy to be with you this afternoon.
Great, and you'll be talking to us about all the interesting and exciting things coming to the Miami River District.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thanks for being here. And Jessica, tell us a little bit about you.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Jessica Pardo. I am a local realtor here in South Florida, mainly focusing here in Broward, Fort Lauderdale, and West Palm Beach. I'm very excited to be here and learn more about Miami River here alongside with my colleagues. And Brett, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, how are you? I'm Sarita Bernstein-Bitan. I have been in the industry for 20 years, and it's a pleasure being here today because we have a wonderful guest that is going to talk to us a lot about what is going on in the Miami River and the corridor as well.
I'm Carmen Ramirez. I'm also a realtor with EXP. I'm part of this team. I'm also excited to have Brett over here with all the new information that we're going to share today. Thank you, Brett, for your time, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
So Brett, tell us a little bit about what's going on while I get these slides up. Can you see the slides?
Yes, flow of opportunity, why the Miami River is Miami's next big investment corridor. The most strategically important areas of the city's urban development map, stretching from downtown into the heart of the city's historic industrial core. This corridor is experiencing a renaissance that merges its maritime roots with cutting-edge residential, commercial, and recreational projects. Developers, investors, and city planners are all paying close attention, and for good reason. Yes, that is indeed happening. Can you speak to the current master plan of the Miami River District and how it aligns with Miami's broader urban development goals? Mm-hmm. So on our website, miamirivercommission.org, we have a few strategic plans. There's the Miami River Corridor Urban Infill Plan, the Miami River Greenway Action Plan, the Miami River Corridor Multimodal Transportation Plan. There's even a plan about improving water quality, but I know that's not really the focus of this afternoon's conversation. So those are the strategic plans. They're award-winning. They're being implemented. They're at miamirivercommission.org, and it aligns with Miami's broader urban development goals because I would say it's consistent with the comprehensive plan. The whole concept of urban infill development. When I started with the River Commission in 2000, there was a lot of vacant parcels in the urban core, and Miami had been getting larger, had been expanding to the west, for example, into the Everglades. Then they made the urban development boundary. And now you're not supposed to develop west of the urban development boundary. And it's an environmentally sensitive thing, et cetera, et cetera. So there was all that pressure going on, and you had these large parcels in the urban core that were vacant or underutilized. So the concept of urban infill development is to take those vacant properties in the urban core, many of which are along the Miami River or were along the Miami River, not too many left, and develop them. So that was certainly consistent with the urban development goals of the city of Miami. The second question is, are you seeing more interest from residential developers or commercial mixed-use investors along the river? What does that indicate about the area's trajectory? We're seeing interest in both, for sure. When you say residential or commercial mixed use, there's really rarely a residential project anymore that doesn't have some level of commercial mixed uses. They're usually on the first floor. They're often restaurants, gyms. Those are the two things that really come to mind off the top, the most common. But rarely is there a residential development that has no mixed use whatsoever.
Right, and so you would say that that's transforming the area, especially I think I read something about the Green Mile. Is it 10 miles of walkability on the river?
The Miami River Greenway is planned to be 10 miles, and right now there is about 7 miles done, about 3 miles to go. The code requires it at all new projects along the river. And then the parks have it and the like. So it's a publicly accessible walkway with, restaurants and residential and retail, and river landing is a good example of retail, that connecting to the public river walk. So yeah, no, it's definitely happening.
So that brings a lot of real estate investors to the area. As you know, there's many brand new buildings, pre-construction buildings that are being built. Right, ladies? We know all about those.
Exactly.
Yes,
Like we experience the boat ride when we do the river tour.
Commercial buildings and wonderful residential buildings as well, which have been already built in the past, but now it's like upscale completely. The new construction is completely upscale. How has impact so many developments been built at the same time to the corridor, to the waters? What has happened?
What has happened to the waters?
Yeah, because there's so much construction going on in one side of the river and the other side, and
Yeah, no, I don't really see too much impact to the waters. What impacts the waters are other things, like the whole city drains into the river. So there's 150 stormwater outfalls. So when it rains, anywhere in the city, all of the garbage, all of the styrofoams and the plastics that never degrade go in the curb cut, and then beneath the street in the pipes, and then those pipes shoot out into the river at 150 different locations. So stormwater runoff has always been a big problem for the water quality. Another problem that we have with water quality is aging sanitary sewer systems that often have leaks. So those are really the water quality issues that we're working on through a water quality subcommittee that has representatives from the federal government, the state government, the county government, the city government, and environmental groups all working together to improve the water quality. We have a wonderful boat called the Scavenger Water Decontamination Vessel. It injects 150,000 liters of oxygen per hour while decontaminating 600,000 gallons of water per hour, and it collects floating debris. In my annual report that I had emailed, there was a picture of it in one of the pages. But so it's cleaning the river. Yeah, there we go. It's the page that's split in two because my fold-out version is different. But you can see half of it in the top right corner there. So it, but there's a lot of regulations that make sure that development does not negatively impact the water quality. And some could even argue that it improves it, because if you have, for example, vacant land, it's not going to have stormwater infrastructure. But when they do a new development, they have to be consistent with code and put in stormwater infrastructure. So that actually is an improvement in many ways. So, I think if anything, a case can be made that the development improves the water quality, but doesn't hurt it.
So that's a great point, because talking about how it's affecting the water, what about the ships with all the containers? What do you see in the future regarding how that area is going to change?
Sure. No, we believe in a mixed-use river. We love the fact, and we're proud of the fact, that the Miami River is tied with Tampa as the 4th largest port in the state of Florida. It generates lots of local jobs that pay well above the county average, and it's critical for the economies of our Caribbean neighbors. Many of our Caribbean neighbors do not have the infrastructure to accommodate the massive vessels that operate out of Port Miami. Ports in Haiti, ports in the Bahamas, ports in the whole Caribbean basin. To have a multi-million-dollar gantry crane to unload and load one of these mammoth vessels you see at Port Miami is just not realistic. So the
Right.
shallow draft vessels on the Miami River are a perfect fit for those Caribbean neighbors. So they really depend on international trade from, if it wasn't for the Miami River shallow draft vessels, they would not have international trade. So the river was dredged. It was an $89 million project to restore the 15-foot depth of the river to help navigation, because the river was getting so shallow that the vessels had to put about half of the capacity of the cargo. And because if they filled all the way, it would hit the bottom of the river.
Exactly.
So now that it's been dredged, they can put more on each container, on more containers on each ship, and be more efficient. So no, we definitely support that. You know, we see the river in 3 geographic areas. So the lower river is from Biscayne Bay to the 5th Street Bridge. So that's the heart of downtown. That's the urban core, very high density. Then you have the middle river from the 5th Street Bridge to the 22 Avenue Bridge. The density comes down.
Right.
There is some single-family residential neighborhoods, some of which are designated historic, like Spring Garden, Grove Park neighborhood, Durham Park neighborhood. And you've got some marine industrial businesses in the Middle River, like Merrill Stevens, a marine industrial boatyard that's been in operation there for over 100 years. And then also in the Middle River, very important, is River Landing, the large mixed-use mall with the restaurants, Riverwalk, and the residential. And then across the street,
is already there.
Yep, the health district, and the health district has got Jackson Hospital and Hospital, and you also have the courthouse there, right? So you have the state attorney's office there. So you have literally thousands of legal and medical professionals that are living in that part of the Middle River. And then you've got the upper river, is from 22 Avenue to the Salinity Dam around 36th Street. That's really the heart of the marine industry. That's where there is no residential zoning on the river, and it's predominantly or almost 100% industrial. So we feel that the river is 5.5 miles long. So when you have your 2 shorelines, that's 11 miles of shoreline. So within those 11 miles, the beautiful part about the river is that all of these uses have their spot on the river. You've got your high density residential, sometimes ultra luxury type stuff. You've got your workforce housing, your affordable housing, single family residential, duplex residential, parks, restaurants, hotels, boatyards, shipping terminals. And the residents have always appreciated, I think, the working river, as it's called, the port. To watch one of these awesome big vessels come by under tow, it provides like a real life entertainment that San Antonio doesn't have and never will, because the San Antonio River and their river walk is not really a river. It's a stormwater drainage ditch.
Right. No, it's not the same.
Yeah, they don't have a huge job generating economic engine of a port of Miami River, as it's called. So, we think that it will continue to thrive in its multiple facets.
So now, Brett, regarding the waterfront value and resilience, this kind of leads us to the next question of how is Miami River Commission collaborating with environmental and engineering experts to protect the riverfronts from sea level rise, and what should potential property buyers understand about long-term flood risk? Since we're so close to the water, we would love to hear about that.
Sure. So that the main focus on that is called the Back Bay Study. So the Back Bay Study is a effort of the Army Corps of Engineers representing the federal government, Miami-Dade County, the city of Miami. Miami River Commission is at the table. The whole public is at the table. So this is the plan. First, you have to make a plan. Then the plan has to be adopted. And you're eligible for WRDA federal funding, Water Resource Development Act funding, which is the same funding that we got to dredge the river. And then, so other communities, when they've created this plan to address this real concern, after they got the plan, when they got to the funding place, the amount of dollars that they provided, the federal government provided to implement the plan in other cities, in other waterfront cities, is astronomical. It was billions and billions and billions of dollars. And that's what Miami needs.
Right.
And so they started working on the plan, and God bless them. Did y'all ever see the renditions of the first draft of the plan, which has now been substantially changed, thank God, to become a second draft, where they had a rendition of, it was like a wall, and the wall was out in the bay about 50 feet away from the land. Did y'all ever see a picture of that?
So what were they trying to create? Another Panama Canal?
Yeah. The wall was designed to stop the hurricane. When the hurricane storm surge comes, this 40-foot, 30-foot wall anchored in the bay was going to stop the hurricane.
No.
And the community kind of went nuts for good reason.
Yeah.
And so then they kind of went back to the drawing boards,
Mm-hmm.
and now they have better solutions. And now the plan is, I would say, almost done.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have to finish the plan. We have to get the plan adopted. Then we have to get the plan funded, and then we have to implement the plan. So, like one of my favorite parts of the plan that I'm focused on is a neighborhood called Durham Park, which is a single-family residential neighborhood on the river. And it is, the elevation of the ground is at some places about 2 feet NGVD is what it's called. And the average tide is over 2 feet NGVD. Average tide, okay, 365 days a year. So we have a problem there. And the solution is that the federal government needs to take those homes, of which there's only, I would say, 15 homes on that stretch of the river, and they need to pay to put them on stilts like they have in the Keys.
Wow.
They need to elevate all of those houses, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And the homeowner cannot afford it. That's a massive undertaking.
Right.
So that's the type of thing that, in theory, once we get this plan adopted, once we get this plan funded, the federal government could provide the funding to the homeowners in that neighborhood, as an example, to elevate their houses. That's the type of stuff we need to do to address that.
That is very interesting.
So along with them trying to fund for those things, are there any new things like grocery stores, maybe schools that are coming to the area? Because so much is being built in the area. But what about these things?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that has already happened, and I'm sure it will continue to happen. But I mean, since I started, what are the new ones? Let me think east to west. You've got the Whole Foods grocery store downtown near the Brickell Bridge. You've got the Publix at River Landing. You've got the Winn-Dixie near Spring Garden on 12th Avenue. You've got the, who am I forgetting? Those are the three big ones that come to mind that are all relatively new.
So those are all on the north side, though. So on the south side, is there anything?
No, it changes. No, it changes. The Publix was smart. Publix got in first. Publix at Jose Marti Park in Little Havana on the river, right across the street from the giant things that are under construction at the Miami River SAP. So they got in there in about 2005. That was literally an abandoned apartment that was a crack house that they tore down and turned into Publix. So that's on the south side. That's Little Havana. You're right.
Well, Brett,
on the north side, you're right that the River Landing's on the north side. Those two are actually pretty close together. And you're right that Whole Foods is on the north side. South side.
Well, you just mentioned something. You said a building was turned into, a crack house building was turned into.
No, torn down.
Publix? Torn down.
Torn down.
Yes. So we're bettering the neighborhood. Tell us a little bit about that. Are they doing anything for all of the traffic that's now going to be coming?
Yes, that's those improvements are focused on in the Miami River Corridor multimodal transportation plan.
Mm-hmm.
So we feel that, and we're not there yet, but we're still trying to push in that direction, is that world-class cities on the waterfront use waterborne transportation. Pick a city. Here's an easy example. Fort Lauderdale, on the river. The government pays $1 million a year to a private sector company to provide a free water taxi loop. It's got about 8 or 9 stops.
Mm-hmm.
The ridership is through the roof. It well exceeds what they thought they were going to buy for $1 million a year, which is pretty cheap for a transportation project. So you're taking all of those cars off of the streets.
Yep.
You know, every time the bridge goes up, the traffic gets out of control. And if you're on one side of the river and you want to zip over to the other side of the river to go to Publix, and you live in one of these buildings and you have a free boat that comes to your, right in front of your apartment, you can jump on that boat and zip over to Publix and zip back. And you're not getting in a car.
Right.
I mean, we have to do that better. Some things have to change to some laws to make that happen. Some things have to change with some funding to make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
There's private sector companies that are interested. They're trying.
But there is change. That's the good news.
Yeah.
There's a lot of change happening on the river.
Yeah.
So anything regarding smart growth in this quarter, and how can it potentially help buyers understand the value and the increase of the value in the properties in the area?
Sure. I mean, smart growth, I would say that any project that gets built for the land use and the zoning, I would consider smart growth. So,
such as the Viceroy right there.
Sure.
In the beginning, we have Aston Martin right in the front of the river.
Yep, Aston Martin.
Ladies,
fabulous.
can you remember a couple that we have going on there?
Baccarat.
Yep.
The Faena.
Faena also, yes.
Yes.
Yep, they've been talking about that site for a long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
Mm-hmm.
That site originally, right now you've got ivy, mint, and wind. So that was originally approved as, for discussion purposes, let's call it 6 buildings.
Right.
And it was approved on paper as 6 buildings in about 2003. And then fast forward, they built ivy, mint, and wind. And then the other 3 sites are vacant. And they've been vacant for a long time. And Shahab Carmeli bought them from Car Properties, and I thought he was going to do it. And he marketed it a lot as One River Point. The renditions were gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Raphael Vignoli was the architect, and he just shockingly never pulled the trigger. And now he has this new partnership with Faena, and I think it's for real now. I think he's partnered with De Fortuna as the realtors.
Okay.
And Fortune Realty, and I think with the Faena project and those guys I think he's trying again to move it forward, and that's really just one of 3 sites that is at this area on the river that were approved on paper over 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy. Because the prices that were purchased for mint back in, I think it was 2005, I just gave a speech on this too, were substantially lower than they are being sold for today. So it's definitely value.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you. Do you ladies have any other questions?
I do.
Oh, go ahead.
So with all these new constructions that are coming into Miami District, currently, are there any upcoming policies like tax incentives, zoning overlays, or opportunity zones that investors and home buyers should know about?
That's an excellent question. There were some back when I started in 2000. Most of them have been discontinued. I can't really think of any right now, because I think those things were to stimulate development where there was none. And they worked, and the development was stimulated. And now I think the market is taking care of itself, and it doesn't need a government incentive to be real. Now, that being said, there are government incentives for affordable housing. So there's certainly government incentives for affordable housing if you meet the criteria of how much you're renting it for and how much the person that's renting it from you makes. If you meet all those criteria, there's that type of incentive. So yeah, there's affordable housing incentives that come to mind, but that's really the only one that comes to mind.
Yeah, that's great.
Great. So we are excited to be part of history, like we were talking yesterday while we were getting ready for this presentation. And we can see the transformation is not only aesthetic, it's always social, it's environmental and economic. So we're happy to be part of the changes in Miami River district, and we're being part of history, even if we didn't agree to it. Thank you for taking the time to share with us all the information.
Well, thank you. I consider it a team effort, and y'all are definitely a part of the team because you're the ones who sell the units in all these buildings that are being built, and we need good residents to be living in these units to make the dream a reality.
Definitely.
Yeah, Brett, thank you so much for joining us. And I do want to give you kudos for you and your team, because I can only imagine all the effort, all the time, all the planning, all the, pieces that you have to move to actually create what you had envisioned and actually make it happen. There's a lot of moving pieces to the different projects that you're doing. And I've seen all the awards that you and your team have, gathered together and been achieved, and received these awards. So awesome job for you and your team. And thank you for all that you do within the community. And we're seeing a huge change, and it's a positive change. We're seeing the growth. We're seeing the amount of people that are coming in and all the effort and time that you guys put into it. I mean, we as the outsiders, we can see it. So thank you.
Well, thank you. That was very kind. I appreciate that.
Especially after seeing what the Miami River used to be. So now we can compare to the Chicago River. That's the only thing that we can think about. It's like we're becoming that. And this is so exciting. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Very kind.
It's baby steps. It's a long process. Well, Brett, if you share those pictures of what the river looked like before, I'll add them. So this will stay on YouTube so people can see that. It's history.
Sure.
And it's very fun to look.
If you go to MiamiRiverCommission.org, and then it has all of our annual reports from all the years. So you can go back to the original annual reports, and you'll see images that are quite different than the images of the more recent versions.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being here. And thank you, ladies, for participating. I hope we've brought everyone some great information, because it's priceless to know what's going on right here in your own city. So thanks so much, Brett, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice day. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.